Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Thanks to Donald Trump, this was another bad day for markets in the United States and around the globe. Before the open on Wall Street, Trump took to social media and triggered a Fox News alert.
Some big breaking news is going to move markets too in a significant way. Breaking news on the push for U.S. trade deals. President Trump says that talks with the European Union are hitting a brick wall and is now looking to take action. He said this about an hour ago, quote, "Our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting on June 1, 2025. That's about 9 days from now. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States."
The Trump outburst immediately tanked stock futures all over the world.
You can see the FTSE in Italy is the biggest decliner of the European averages. It's down by about 1.9%. And then here are the declines that you see in the United States. Dow futures down by 470 points. S&P futures off by 67. The NASDAQ down by close to 300. Joe, you mentioned that Treasury yields were coming down. I guess that's what would happen if you thought you were approaching a recession more rapidly.
446.
446 now. The 30 years still sitting right at 5%.
Yes, in addition to markets plunging and losing value, the bond market signaled a growing consensus that Trump's chaotic approach has triggered a U.S. recession. The U.S. gross domestic product shrank in the first quarter of this year. A second quarter of negative growth would make the Trump recession official. In the meantime, with Trump lashing out at the European Union for not reaching trade deals with him, the anchors on CNBC openly mocked Trump.
You can see that it's been a bad morning at the White House in terms of thinking these negotiations are getting somewhere.
Well, that's always been the big question. Everyone said we're going to have all these deals. We still haven't seen just about any of them.
I thought India was supposed to be done.
Right.
Japan?
Not Japan, not India, only agreements in principle or sub-deals with the UK and China. Just a few weeks ago, Trump stopped or lowered all of his previous announced tariffs. So why reimpose tariffs now before the end of a 90-day suspension? On Fox News, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
The 90-day pause on the April 2nd tariffs was based on countries or trade blocs coming to us and negotiating in good faith. And I believe the president believes that the EU proposals have not been of the same quality that we've seen from our other important trading partners.
In any case, Trump's on again, off again, on again approach spooked Wall Street at today's open.
It is the United States Navy celebrating Fleet Week at the NASDAQ Renowned Tactical Acquisition Corp.
Soon after the U.S. Navy rang the opening bell, most companies began in the red with losses. And after a few hours, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had lost more than 400 points. One of the big losers was Apple, which lost more than 3%. The iPhone maker was the specific target for another Trump social media rant.
I've long informed Tim Cook of Apple that I expect their iPhones will be sold in the United States of America, will be manufactured and built in the U.S., not India or any place else. If that's not the case, a tariff of at least 25% must be paid by Apple to the United States.
Even Fox host Bill Hemmer, who's not exactly known for being critical of Donald Trump, firmly pointed out the obvious to Trump's Treasury Secretary.
Now, you know that high technology companies, it takes time to move those production facilities. What's realistic for Apple?
Again, I don't know from company to company, so we'll have to see. I do think that Apple started moving a big portion of their supply chain out of China during COVID, when China proved to be an unreliable partner.
Okay, well, this isn't COVID, and the person who is unreliable and unstable these days is Donald Trump. CEOs around the globe have said as much on the record and off. Several CEOs of banks and financial companies have expressed alarm to Trump over his tax and spending bill that just passed the House. The bill would add trillions of dollars to the U.S. debt. Moody's cited the legislation for a downgrade in the U.S. credit rating.
This bill adds trillions to our debt. How is that acceptable to this administration?
Well, again, you're referring to the CBO scoring, I believe, which is tenure scoring, and it's DC style scoring. So we think that we can both grow the economy and control the debt.
Growing the economy out of debt has long been a talking point for Art Laffer-inspired supply side or trickle down economic theory. Every Republican administration going back to Ronald Reagan has espoused this trickle down theory. Not a single Republican administration ended up lowering the deficit. Each administration exploded the deficit. And in several Republican administrations, the economy tanked.
And what's important, Bill, is that the economy grows faster than the debt. So what I would tell your viewers to focus on is what I'm focused on, is what Secretary Yellen was focused on, is what is the total debt to GDP? Because we can grow our way out of this.
Grow our way out of this is not something that any Republican administration has done in the past 50 years. In the 1990s, Democrat Bill Clinton grew the economy so fast that he produced a budget surplus. But that's it. Giving tax cuts to the wealthy to grow the economy out of debt has never worked. Ever. So why is the Trump administration relying on a failed approach now? Well, a lot of wealthy people donated to the Trump campaign, and they stand to gain through the massive GOP tax breaks for the rich. So here we are. And when tens of millions of lower-income Americans lose their health coverage because of Medicaid cuts, and the number of personal bankruptcies skyrockets, oh well. The Trump tax and spend approach is so reckless, and the Trump tariff policy is so chaotic that even Wall Street investors and traders are nauseous. They see right through Trump's BS and are calling out Trump's policies in real time. Stocks are being downgraded, the bond market is breaking, and everybody seems to be betting against the Trump U.S. economy. And all Donald Trump is doing is lashing out, delivering more chaos, and taking the United States even closer to a total financial meltdown. By the way, some of Donald Trump's own White House staff suspect he has dementia and are pointing to an increased frequency of Trump rambling and outbursts.
What are you talking about? You know, you to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing. No more questions from you. Go ahead. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Craig, who wrote, "Everything is all messed up. Have never heard a president of the United States say anything as low and stupid as Trump." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump sinking U.S. stock markets and markets around the globe yet again. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.